It's an Audi A3, but perhaps not quite as you know it. Here we've the Saloon model, the second generation version of which has been lightly updated to even more effectively bring the brand's cool elegance within the reach of those who might find the brand's only slightly larger A5 a bit of a stretch. We all like the idea of good things in sensibly sized packages. In essence, that's what this is. There's a completely digitalised interior and cutting-edge infotainment, plus a more unique light signature, various electrified engines, and a suite of innovative assistance systems enveloped in a classy yet immediately recognisable body. The compact executive saloon. Every business car park is stuffed with the things, most of them upmarket German badged offerings like Audi's A5, BMW's 3 Series or Mercedes C-Class. Cars of this kind are now generations old and have got progressively larger, more sophisticated and more expensive. So much so that room has been created for a market sector to slot in beneath them. A segment with four-door saloons offering pretty much the same thing, but in a slightly more compact form. Cars like this one, Audi's A3 Saloon. The Ingolstadt brand first launched this model in our market in 2013, then brought us a second generation version in 2020. From the start with this sedan model, Audi was well aware of the need to sell this product very carefully. After all, it's traditionally been true that any four-door smaller than something 3 Series or C-Class sized tends to get pretty much ignored on these shores. So the marketeers had to pitch this 3-box A3 as offering almost everything a buyer might get in their usual mid-sized model, once badged A4, now badged A5, but just in a marginally smaller package. The thinking person's compact executive saloon, if you like. The approach worked, and the first generation A3 Saloon carved out a loyal following. But towards the end of the Mark I version's production life, it began to look a little frumpy compared to the rival premium badged compact four-door coupe models that sold to much the same type of clientele, the Mercedes CLA and latterly the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe. Hence the need for a slightly different approach with the Mark II A3 Saloon, something which continues with this updated version launched in early 2024. As before, it's available in either conventionally engined or, as in this case, sportier forms. And to find out more about it, you're going to need the usual comprehensive car and driving road test. There are no engineering or handling changes to this updated A3. As before, everything about this car is designed to deliver on the concept of a Volkswagen Golf with just a touch more polish, and the driving experience it offers is no exception. If you're an A3 regular or a graduate from a Golf, you'll find that this Audi has even more of the mature drive dynamics you'll be looking for, helped by a fully digital at-the-wheel experience and the optional embellishment of self-driving tech. The original version of this Mark IV model became a little more involving to drive than its predecessor, thanks to slightly sharper steering, a wider track and the introduction of a modular dynamic handling control system that, based on steering movements, predictively coordinates interplay between all the car's dynamic systems, a bit like a conductor with an orchestra, so the car can always be one step ahead of the drive inputs that you want to make. As before, all variants get an Audi Drive Select driving mode system with efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic and individual settings. If you like your driving, you may want to add the optional variable ratio progressive steering rack, which makes the steering more direct the more you turn the wheel. The core engine options here are familiar for mainstream customers, starting with the 1 litre 3-cylinder 30 TFSI, that's with 116 PS, and a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder 35 TFSI, that's with 150 PS. Those are petrol units. It's the latter that we're trying here. Unlike the rival BMW 1 Series, Audi hasn't yet dumped diesel, so there's still a 35 TDI black pump-fueled version available, also with 150 PS. Another thing that Ingolstadt thinks you might still want is manual transmission, now no longer available with either a 1 Series or an A-Class, though you can only get it with the base 30 TFSI engine. Otherwise, it's Audi's usual 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch auto gearbox. Opt for the base 30 TFSI petrol or 35 TDI diesel variants, and as with this A3's Volkswagen Group cousin models, you have to make do with an unsophisticated torsion beam suspension that's cheaper for Audi to assemble, but which can get unsettled over poorer surfaces. From this 35 TFSI engine level upwards, though, all models come with supple multi-link rear suspension, a setup that's worth having, particularly if you've avoided base trim and find your A3 fitted non-negotiably with stiffer sport suspension. For our market, there's unfortunately no adaptive damping option for mainstream A3s. Something else that's more sophisticated on this 35 TFSI is the availability of engine electrification, though unfortunately it's of the largely ineffectual mild hybrid kind. Audi still can't offer a full self-charging hybrid setup such as that you'd find in this segment on, say, a Lexus LBX or a Honda Civic eHEV. Instead, it's the same mild electrical setup as fitted to a Golf E TSI. The A3 doesn't yet get the cleverer MHEV Plus mild system that's fitted to the larger A5. Which means that, as with the pre-facelift 35 TFSI, there's a 48-volt BAS belt alternator starter generator, powering a 12-volt main electrical setup in which a 48-volt compact lithium-ion battery in the boot stores energy harvested via a KERS kinetic energy recovery system. There's a center screen control that allows you to switch the setup's energy recuperation off, but we don't really understand why you'd ever want to. For a properly electrified A3 though, you've still to look to one that you can plug in. That doesn't mean the availability of an A3 EV. That'll have to wait until the next generation model. Instead, Ingolstadt has borrowed the rival Golf GTE's much improved PHEV setup for its 45 TFSI E plug-in hybrid model, which now offers an EV range of over 60 miles. The other way to go, if you want a more sophisticated kind of A3, is to look at the sporting Quattro versions, which we've tested separately. The most accessible of these, the 2-litre petrol turbo S3 variant, has actually been changed quite a bit as part of this update, with output 23 PS up to 333 PS, the same as Golf R. So 62 mph now takes just 4.7 seconds. Plus, Audi Sport has added a torque splitter borrowed from the RS3, which allows for fully variable torque distribution between the rear wheels at speed through the bends. For those in search of the ultimate A3, of course, only that RS3 model will do, now with upgraded chassis control and a retuned brake torque vectoring system. Power output of the classic 2.5-litre 5-cylinder turbo unit remains set at a stonking 427 PS, so 62 miles an hour is demolished in just 3.8 seconds, and with the optional dynamic pack fitted, the top speed is 180 miles an hour. Whatever flavour of A3 Sportback or Saloon you happen to prefer, it'll come with the fresh generation of drive assist technology that's been ushered in by this 4th generation model. So let's finish this section by briefing you on that. What's important to understand here is the switch from passive to active technology. With the previous pre-2020 era Mark III model, the optional ACC adaptive cruise control system merely braked and accelerated the car based around a preset speed. With this Mark IV design, it uses the car's front camera system, GPS data, and a host of sensors to drive this A3 predictively. So when ACC is set using an efficiency assist setup, the car knows in advance about bends, roundabouts and upcoming traffic flow. Plus this Audi will adapt itself to speed limits as you enter them. Adaptive cruise control is also an integral part of this car's clever adaptive cruise assist system, which comes as part of the optional technology pack we've got fitted here. Now it's worth having, enabling partially assisted so-called level 2 autonomous driving and working with the standard cruise control setup and the active lane assist element of the lane departure warning system to provide partially assisted driving at highway speeds of up to 130 miles an hour. That's provided you keep your hands firmly on the rim of the capacitive steering wheel. This is all the kind of technology we think a typical buyer of this Audi will really like. As before, this 4th generation A3 Sportback takes everything that's great about its Volkswagen Golf cousin and adds an extra layer of cool sophistication. Sure, for the same money, you could consider buying a bigger car from a lesser brand, but after trying this one, Audi hopes that you won't want to. In a market where it competes with four-door coupe designs like the Mercedes CLA and the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe, it was essential that the revised version of this 2nd generation A3 Saloon look a little more dynamic than its predecessors. You might well think that it does. As with the Sportback variant, Audi's given the improved version of this model large angular air intakes and a flatter grille design that now features the two-dimensional 4-ring logo we first saw on the brand's Q8 e-tron luxury SUV. In contrast with the A3 Sportback, the Saloon's body line continues in a straight line up to the rear bumper. This emphasises its length, 15 centimetres longer than the Sportback, and makes for elegant proportions in profile. The concave surface under the broad body shoulder further accentuates the shape's rear quattro blisters and the lower sills, while the roofline, which tapers down from the B-pillar and finishes in a spoiler on the boot lid, draws inspiration from coupe design. This is still the most premium feeling cabin in the segment, but only because Audi has constantly evolved it. These lovely chromed fascia air vents have been restyled. The brand has taken the opportunity to add a wider range of more sustainable trimming and upholstery materials. And there's a redesigned lower center console with a more minimalistic gear selector. If you're buying in at the bottom of the range, you'll also be pleased to find that a higher level of standard equipment comes included, incorporating this classy double-stitched dash top, inductive phone charging, and a considerably improved ambient lighting package, which above base trim now gives you a choice of 30 colours, backlit doors and contour lights around both the centre console and the cup holders. The screen takes better too. An improved Virtual Cockpit Plus instrument screen is standard, and the 10.1-inch central MMI monitor has been updated in various ways, allowing it to be customised with a wider range of applications, including Amazon Alexa. As before, there's an interestingly crafted angular layered dashboard with an immersive style of ergonomic design. In the way these air vents combine with the instrument binnacle and the manner in which the centre screen and the climate controls just below have been canted towards the driver. Audi's added a new decorative fabric inlay fashioned from a technical textured fabric that's also made from 100% recycled polyester. As before, much effort has gone in to visually emphasise the width and the spaciousness of this cabin, most notably with precise horizontal lines and surfaces. Not all of it's smoke and mirrors. The seats have been set a little lower than the norm to improve headroom, which combined with the lovely flat bottom wheel you get above base trim gives a pleasingly sporty feel. Plus there's slightly more shoulder room than you'd normally get with a car of this class too. The workings of this virtual cockpit plus instrument screen are pretty familiar, based around two dials that you can make either smaller or larger using this steering wheel view button, before using arrow buttons to vary what you see between the gauges: audio selection, trip data, drive assist info, or nav mapping, which can be extended full screen. Earlier we mentioned the MMI center display. If you've used the earlier version of this model, you'll find that now looks a bit different, with the addition of this extra home screen full of customizable widget sections for the elements you use most frequently. But swipe left and there's an alternative home screen with more familiar rows of Audi icons. This MMI system is permanently connected to the internet with high-speed access via an embedded eSIM, which means you can create in the car a Wi-Fi hotspot and access things like online music streaming, online traffic information, and hybrid radio. There's the expected wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto systems, and once you've used them to download your favorite apps, those applications can be used directly on the screen independently of your smartphone. This central screen also has a series of selectable back themes. Marvel, Disney, there are a whole range of them. The kids will love it. And it's also your access point to a completely new Sonos 3D sound system that's an option and includes these little neat A-pillar speakers. It's a practical cabin too. Under this neat retracting centre armrest, there's open storage with twin cup holders, a coin tray and a 12-volt socket just ahead. Ahead of the gear selector, there's a large space at the base of the centre stack with twin USB-C ports, plus you get a big glove box and some visor ticket clips, but small door bins, which aren't flock-lined like they are in a Golf, so small items will more easily slide around everywhere. It's a fraction more comfortable in the back than it is in the A3 Sportback, and there's a reasonable amount of head and leg room for a small saloon of this kind. Out back, boot space is as before, offering a 425 litre capacity. Expect a premium of £565 over the A3 Sportback hatch, which at the time of filming in autumn 2024 meant prices starting from just under £30,000 with a choice of 3 trim levels: Sport, S-Line and Black Edition. As for the sportier variants, well, you'll need around £48,000 for this S3 Saloon and around £61,000 for the top RS3 Saloon. There's certainly a lot more included now with base sport trim, with newly added features at this level as part of this facelift, including the improved Audi Virtual Cockpit Plus instrument screen. There's an enhanced Audi sound system, all-round parking sensors, smarter 17-inch 5V spoke alloy wheels, the Audi Phonebox wireless handset charger, front seat heating, and for the rear seat, 3-zone climate control and a couple of useful USB-C ports for phone-obsessed teenagers. Plus, Sport Spec also gets you LED headlamps, an improved LED interior lighting pack, and an MMI Navigation Plus 10.1-inch centre touchscreen with 3D map display, voice control, and added App Store and smartphone interface functions. Plus, of course, there's the usual My Audi app, via which individual infotainment and comfort functions can now be added online, even after the vehicle has been purchased. Now, quite a few customers are going to want to stretch to the mid-level S-Line spec with its sportier styling, larger 18-inch 5 twin-spoke graphite grey alloy wheels and rear privacy glass, though you might not find the firmer sport suspension to your taste. Try before you buy. Inside, S-Line trim is set apart by twin leather upholstery with S embossing, a flat-bottomed, leather-rimmed sport steering wheel, a black headliner, and multicoloured ambient lighting. Now here we've got the even sportier Black Edition trim, which adds 19-inch 5 twin-spoke edge anthracite black diamond-cut alloy wheels, an exterior black styling pack, and decorative interior fabric inlays in Impressum Black. As for extra cost features, well, bear in mind that you'll need to pay your Audi Centre around £600 more for your choice of paint colour unless you opt for either of the two solid shades, Brilliant Black or this Arcona White. It'd be sensible to add a further £300 to your budget for the Space Saver spare wheel and jack too. Above that, your dealer is going to want you to consider finding an extra £1,500 for the optional technology pack that we've got fitted here. Now that gives you the new Sonos 3D premium sound system, along with a head-up display, a reversing camera, and adaptive cruise assist. If you've £5,000 more to spend, the Technology Pack Pro gives you all this, plus matrix LED headlights and LED tail lights, a panoramic glass sunroof, comfort key keyless entry, powered front seat adjustment with a memory function. As for safety features, well, all A3s come with collision avoidance assist, lane departure warning, traffic sign recognition, and the Audi Presense front system, plus speed warning, distance warning, and fatigue warning systems, and the usual features to control traction, braking, and stability, plus a full complement of airbags, including an e-call system that'll automatically alert the rescue services with your GPS location if any of them goes off. Add the Technology Pack Pro option and you also get lane change assist, an exit warning system, a rear cross traffic alert, and emergency assist, which brings the car to a controlled stop should the driver be taken ill at the wheel. Very reassuring. Audi's certainly keen to talk about electrification when it comes to this A3, but as with its closest rivals, there's no full EV option, nor can you have the sort of full self-charging hybrid powertrain that rivals like Lexus and Honda can offer in this segment. Instead, this car continues with the relatively ineffectual mild hybrid system, a setup we described to you in our driving section. Just to recap, a BAS belt alternator starter generator powers a 48-volt main electrical setup in which a compact lithium-ion battery in the boot stores energy harvested via a KERS kinetic energy recovery system. During braking, the BAS package can recover up to 12 kilowatts of power and feed it back into the battery. If the driver takes their foot off the accelerator at speeds between 34 and 99 miles an hour, the mild hybrid system will recuperate energy while the car rolls in idle or coasts with its engine automatically switched off for up to 40 seconds. The belt alternator starter generator restarts the system's 1.5 litre engine the next time the accelerator is depressed, and does so faster and more gently than a conventional starter. All of this you'll particularly notice at urban speeds where the 4-cylinder engine's start-stop system is cutting in and out. The start-stop range begins at just under 14 miles an hour, so you'll often find the car coasting up to the end of a traffic queue, a traffic light, or a level crossing. It all sounds good, but ultimately makes relatively little difference, even in the Drive Select system's most frugal efficiency mode, delivering a combined cycle return of 54.3 mpg with a CO2 reading of 119 grams per kilometre of CO2. To be fair, that's significantly better than the mild hybrid systems managed in rival BMW 120 and Mercedes A180 models, but to give you some perspective as to what a proper full hybrid system could achieve, we'll tell you that a rival Lexus LBX manages up to 62.7 miles to the gallon and up to 102 grams per kilometre of CO2. You can't get a more frugal non-plug-in A3 by opting for one fitted with the smallest 3-cylinder 1-litre engine either. But you can do by going old school and choosing the 35 TDI diesel, which can officially return up to 57.6 mpg, but which then lets itself down a bit with its 126 grams per kilometre CO2 emissions figure. The better choice would be the 45 TFSI-E petrol plug-in hybrid with its EV range of around 60 miles, but that's pretty pricey. For completion, we'll give you the returns of the two Quattro sporty models, the S3, which manages 33.2 mpg and 193 grams per kilometre, and the RS3, for which the figures are 31.4 miles per gallon and 205 grams per kilometre. Whatever A3 variant of choice, magazine tests have pointed out that across the board, the efficiency figures we've quoted can be difficult to achieve in day-to-day motoring, but then that's not an issue exclusive to Audi. Much will depend on the driver, hence the Ingolstadt brand's efforts with this car to help the person at the wheel do more when it comes to frugality. An efficiency assist segment of the center dash infotainment screen offers predictive messaging, general economy tips, and more importantly can use GPS data to tell you in advance about bends, roundabouts and upcoming traffic flow. As for servicing, well, as usual with Audi models, there's a choice of either a fixed or a flexible servicing regime. The choice between the two depending on the extent of your likely annual mileage. The fixed schedule is aimed at drivers covering fewer than 10,000 miles a year and includes an oil change service every 9,000 miles or every year, plus an inspection service every 19,000 miles or every 2 years. If you cover more than 10,000 miles a year, the flexible service schedule will be more appropriate. This regime including oil change and inspection services at variable intervals of up to every 19,000 miles or every 2 years. Whatever package you go for, you'll need to change the brake fluid after the first 3 years, then every 2 years thereafter. Overall, maintenance costs can be kept down if you go for one of the prepaid servicing plans that you'll be offered at initial purchase, which can cover you up to a maximum of 3 years and include an oil service and a major service. On to residuals. The A3 has always performed well in this regard and nothing's changed here. According to industry experts CAP, a typical A3 35 TFSI S-Line petrol sport pack model would, after 3 years and 60,000 miles, be still worth 45.8% of its original value, which remains class leading. We'll finish by covering the warranty. All cars in this class get 3 years of cover, but whereas BMW and Mercedes don't limit your mileage in this period, Audi rather meanly still restricts you to 60,000 miles. Optional extra cost packages can extend the cover to either 4 or 5 years and 75,000 or 95,000 miles respectively. So how to sum up? Well, the improved version of this second generation A3 Saloon might not look that much different at first glance, but it might begin to feel so once you take a seat inside and get to grips with the lightly redesigned cabin. Otherwise though, the recipe is much as it was before, and that'll see many continuing to like the statement this A3 Saloon makes on their behalf. It's smart and elegant without being showy, nor does it unduly advertise its status as the smallest saloon Audi makes. Most who see you at the wheel will simply think you bought an A5, and those who do spy the different boot badge will probably think you've chosen wisely. So there's very little not to like. Unless you were looking to make some sort of style statement. This car won't turn the heads of passers-by like a rival Mercedes CLA or BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe. But then that very discretion is a fundamental part of its appeal. As with any other A3, it's as at home in Belgravia as it is in Brixton, offering a democratization of automotive luxury without a dilution of desirability. If you doubt that, then you've only to get behind the wheel, for the interior is where this design really strides apart. You could be in a luxury car, and of course in many ways you are. Just one that perhaps better reflects the times we live in.